This video will provide a wiring overview for a typical QoraLux Low Voltage installation. For our example, we'll look at a few QoraLux Low Voltage scenarios using the quad output driver and the 24 output driver, though the basic principles covered here will still apply to the single and triple output drivers as well. Before finalizing a wiring plan and beginning to pull cable, it's best to confirm with clients and all key decision makers which lights in the facility need individual control, since this is what determines how the lighting zones need to be configured, and therefore how the wiring needs to be installed. For instance, if these pendants were always intended to be controlled together as one group, then daisy chaining them like this is fine. The main considerations for this case simply relate to the required wattage of the fixtures and the maximum watts supplied by the output of the driver. On the other hand, if individual control is needed, as in this example, a separate home run to the driver is needed for each light that needs separate control. You also have the option of still zoning these lights together if desired. When in doubt, or if you suspect that requirements may later change, it's best to use separate home runs to the lights when possible, since adjusting settings to create a single zone is always easier than pulling new cable to create multiple zones after the initial installation. Now we'll take a look at the wiring itself. In all cases shown here, Cat6 is being used, though in different ways. First, in order to communicate with SAVI, the QoraLux One Pro needs to be connected to the network. This is standard data over Ethernet. Next, we have Cat6 being used to transmit the DMX signal from one of the DMX outs on the back of the QoraLux One to the DMX in on the back of the first driver. For drivers that power lights within the same universe, we can daisy chain from one driver directly to the next. Drivers powering fixtures in other DMX universes would need to be daisy chained from a separate DMX out on the QoraLux One Pro, since each DMX out represents a different DMX universe. Lastly, we use Cat6 again to send 24 volts DC to each light fixture, whether it's daisy chained or connected directly from the driver. You can see how this differs from PoE in that all pins are being used to send voltage, with some of them supplying a constant flow and others controlling different color values. This brings up the very important point that nothing except SAVI QoraLux lighting fixtures should be plugged into cables connected to any output driver. Since the voltage would most certainly damage any equipment not intended to receive 24 volts over Cat6, ensure all team members are aware of this fact and use appropriate labels to help minimize the risk of damage to equipment. If wiring a fixture for individual control, simply connect it directly to an output. But if several lights are intended to be grouped together into a lighting zone, you can daisy chain them, keeping in mind the maximum watts for the output you're using. The single, triple, and quad output drivers all have the option to output the voltage using a 5-pin connector, which could be used for fixtures such as the flex strips or pathway lights. You also have the option to run Cat6 to the fixture and then use an RJ45 to 5-pin adapter close to the light fixture itself. As a reminder, each output for the single, triple, and quad output drivers all supply a maximum of 96 watts each, while each output on the 24 output driver supplies a maximum of 20 watts. When daisy chaining, you can use either of the RJ45 slots on the attached Y cable, with the other one connecting to the next fixture. This concludes our video on QoraLux Low Voltage wiring. Thanks for watching, and please subscribe for more SAVI training videos.